Hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Come on in. Come on in and join us, please. Tell me how your day is going. Please give us a like and a comment if you're here or not. That's fine too. Oh my gosh. Hello, everybody. Okay. So my name is Alicia McBride. Look, I remember to introduce myself this time. I'm so excited. My name is Alicia McBride. We are here today with Meg Lewis. We are celebrating the Empath Effect, powerful stories of love, courage, and transformation. People are comparing this book to chicken soup with this for the soul. I am milking this because I am so honored to be compared to chicken soup for the soul. I am telling everyone all the time to the point where you're going to get tired of hearing it. And I'm sorry. So Meg Lewis is here with us today. She wrote one of the stories in the Empath Effect. It is a collaborative book of 22 different authors, people who are sharing their journeys of what it was like, what their lives were like before they were an empath, what they went through, the struggle, the trauma, how they overcame what they went through in their lives. And Meg's story is called I Couldn't Whine It Away, a recovery story. Meg Lewis is an empath in long-term recovery who went on to train and become certified as a recovery coach, life coach, and a She Recovers coach designate. She's a proud wife, mother, and grandmother dedicated to living her life as a positive role model. Meg coaches clients privately and is volunteering at She Recovers and within her local community. You can learn more about Meg at meglewiscoaching.com. Welcome, Meg.
Thank you. Thank you for that lovely introduction.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. I'm really happy to, I'm excited to talk about recovery because I think many addicts are empaths.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I didn't know that until I was in recovery and did someone actually mention to me, and that's in the book, like, yeah, like most people with addictions are empaths. And I was like, oh, okay. So it just made a whole lot of sense for me then. Because we are such sensitive individuals and we tend to take on the feelings and emotions of others and not really know how to process it or understand whether it's normal or not normal. We're constantly barraged with, and not that everyone isn't, but we tend to have a heightened sense of that. And we're escape artists, right? We're trying to escape all of that the difficulty and all that pain and all of that confusion that we don't know where it comes from. It became, for me, my wine became my medicine. It became what made a hyper sense of emotions. It kind of brought it down to probably what felt like normal for people. That was just my baseline, like, just have a couple glasses of wine and then I can deal with this situation. But, without the wine, everything was just pinging all over, right? It's just, yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing your story within the book. I totally agree with you. I think addiction, and specifically alcohol, is an easy way to numb the pain, to dumb it down, to allow you to feel normal. Let's talk about what your sensitivity was like before and after alcohol. You said it was bright and loud and
Yeah. And also, just to point out too, before we go there, is eating disorders are very common with empaths also. So, that's considered an addictive behavior. It's a control sensitive issue. So eating disorders are very also common, in the broad scope of addictions, not just substances. So when I stopped drinking, and for me it was a soul calling, it was my intuition was nudging me and nudging me and nudging me for about 7 years, and I'm like, oh no I don't want to do this. I enjoy drinking my wine on the weekends, and I just don't want to do this. But it kept nudging me to the point where I had to answer that call eventually. And when I stopped drinking, I realized just how incredibly difficult it was. Like, it was my friend. It's what I celebrated with it and I cried with it. And it again brought me back to baseline, which I hadn't realized it. So when I removed the alcohol, people with addictions and that are familiar with it, you'll hear the term feel all the feels, right? So like, how appropriate is that, right? You feel everything, everything. But for me, it felt like not only was I feeling things, it felt like it was really ramped up, like just loud, just very loud. And the world seemed loud and things seemed clearer and more vibrant and colors. I perceived the whole world differently when I put down the wine, which made me then realize that was probably that whole wide, loud, bright, vibrant world was too much for me to process growing up. And that's why I ended up just kind of like, how do I dummy this down? How do I tone this down and make this all much more tolerable?
A minute ago, before we went live, we were talking about, being that kid. And I said, my that kid wants to hug your that kid. Let's talk about that for a second. Being the kid who feels different, and being the kid where, you kind of feel like sensory overload and everything is bright and loud. And how do you process that? Like, how can we help to the people watching? How can we help them help their kids with that? Do you have some kind of a little piece of advice?
Well, I can tell you that when I grew up, because of my age, there were no special classes. There was no diagnosis or categories. People didn't talk about this. You were a kid, you go to school, you shush, you right. So I think I became more of, I wouldn't say I was a behavioral problem, but I was the kid that has developed belly aches in kindergarten all the time, didn't want to go to school. And then, in first grade, I developed a nervous tic. And then by second, third grade, I was being bullied for different things. And so there wasn't support for those types of things back then. So, and my parents didn't have those kind of tools either, because they weren't trained in that. We just didn't talk about those things. I actually had someone come to me after reading my story and said, "Oh my gosh, I think my son is an empath. I think they're just like you," because he came home from school one day because a classmate had been upset, and he was just like, "Mom, I could feel how he felt," right? And it was just like he was suffering for this child because he was so wrapped up in the feelings and emotions that this child displayed. So I think that just being aware of a sensitive child doesn't mean that your child is a problem, or, look,
There's nothing wrong
with them. If they're having belly aches, there might not be anything wrong, right? They might not be picked on. It might be the world is overwhelming. And I think that we're so into pushing, and empaths tend to be introverts to some degree. And I'm very much an introvert. I love people, but I thrive in smaller groups of people than large groups of people. And so our school is not meant to protect that introvert's heart, or that sensitive person's heart, right? Like, you get in there and you go and you don't have projects by yourself, they're group projects, and not everybody thrives under that. So I think being aware of what an empath is and how children can produce those kind of qualities is to take note of it. And then there is information out there on raising an empathic child. So just help them protect their hearts, because they're just tender. They're just tender.
That's right. We're just tender, sensitive, gentle souls.
Right. Who just don't know how to maneuver this world the way the rest of the world tells us we have to maneuver it. And it can be overwhelming.
Yeah. Let's make this normal.
Let's make it normal. Yeah.
I want to do that. That's my goal.
Right. Being feeling right now and being sensitive sometimes isn't favored. It's like, "Oh, you're so sensitive," but we are, like, right. We just are. And I think, as I mentioned in my story, and it's important to point out, even though this doesn't have a diagnosis code on the spectrum of the DSM-5, but there are brain differences in the empath, so narcissists and empaths brains light up differently because they don't feel anything and we feel too much. And it really is, as some people I have come up to us or have met, like they think, are you a fortune teller? Are you a mind reader? Like, what are you? And it's like, no, I'm just a highly sensitive person. And they just don't understand it, right? But there is a differences in how we're wired, and our brains are different. And so it's not like we can just get over it, like stop being sensitive, right? It's just we are wired, we absorb it, we feel it, we process it differently. It's a real deal thing.
That's right. It is exactly how we are and who we are. We can't, there's nothing to fix.
Right. Right. Or get over, right? You can't get over it, you
Yeah.
can't fix it.
There's nothing to fix. It's just, it is absolutely who we are. And the faster that we can accept that,
Right.
the faster that other people can allow us to be ourselves. I mean, that's how you bloom and flourish,
Right.
having, giving yourself permission to be whoever you are, whoever that is, and accept yourself for, for who and what that is just, it's beautiful and it's amazing. And I want to get there for everybody.
Right.
I want everybody to accept themselves for exactly who they are. And I want to get to the point where we allow other people to be who they are without judgment. Right.
Right. Yeah, one of the things that I struggled with, and as silly as it is, but it seems so small, but it was such a big deal for me, is I don't like loud. I don't like loud music. Believe it or not, as much as I love to drink my wine, I didn't love going to bars. Like I just didn't like that kind of loud, echoing atmosphere. It was always too much for me. So whenever I would go somewhere, and you'd go to parties, and when you're younger, the music's loud, the dancing talk is loud, people are dancing loud, it's just, and the more I was in that environment, the more I needed to drink because I needed to stop it. It was like a constant echo. I couldn't understand it. And I just thought I was a weird person. Like, why is everyone else enjoying this loud music? And I just want to die. Like, I just want to run outside with my hands over my head. And it's not that I don't like music loud sometimes, but usually for short periods of time. But I need an escape, believe it or not, from loud environments. I need an escape plan. More so now I don't have to worry about if there's drinking going on, because that's perfectly fine. There's many people in my life who still enjoy to drink, and that's okay. It's the loud environments I need my escape route from.
And that is a very common trait for empaths.
Right.
We generally, we can handle it for a little bit, and then I know I need recovery time afterwards. If I'm I need downtime, I need recovery time, I need me time, like I need to lay in bed.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
leave me alone. And like I'll find that with my kids. I have 2 young boys and they are loud, and I can tolerate a lot. Like I can tolerate a lot of loud. I think for an empath, my tolerance for loud, noisy, and like in your face is higher than other empaths, but lower than normal. So I tolerate a lot of that, but then there's a cutoff point where I'm like, like I just need to go. And for me with my kids, I usually hide in the bathroom. Like
All you can do, right?
I just need to go and I need to be, or like, let's go to bed a little early tonight. Like I just need, I need that quiet. I need that me time. And if I don't get it, I'm a wreck.
Right.
I'm a solid wreck. So like my journey and my struggle was through depression. And if I don't get that me time, that quality time, the quiet, I easily downward spiral right back into there. So I make sure that I get what I need.
Yeah. Yeah. Funny, that made me think of something when my children are older now, they're in their 30s, but when they first left the nest and we were empty nesters, my husband and I we went on tour. We kind of said we did all those things because we married young, we had our children young. So we kind of went on tour, and we were going to concerts all the time, and we had so many activities, and it was so much fun. But at one point I said to him, stop, I can't do anymore. And he's like, are you saying we're having too much fun? Are you complaining about having too much fun? And I'm like, I think I am. I think I really am. Like it just got to be, you were busy all weekend, and then you would go right back into the work week. And it was, back to work full time, and cooking and cleaning and prepping and taking care of the dog, and then back into a busy weekend, and then back into work again. And then finally at one point I'm like, I can't do this. Like, and he was just like, I don't get it, right? Like, because we were having a great time, but I couldn't handle it because it was too much energy. It was too much on the go. I didn't have that time to just, as you said, just lay in bed for an hour or
A
just
day.
be. It was just go, 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 go. And I started to short circuit over it. I'm like, I can't.
That's right. You can, I mean, let's be serious. You can do almost anything temporarily,
Right.
but nothing, I mean, that kind of behavior is just not sustainable.
Right. I mean, and even fun can be too much fun, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there were great adventures and great things we did, but at one point I was just like, I can't do this. I don't want to go to one more concert. I don't want to do anything for like a long time. And he's like, what?
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well, thanks, Meg. I want to read. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Meg already knows this, but for those of you watching who don't know, I collected everybody's stories. I put a call out to 22 authors. I collected their stories. I'm really good at like putting people together, like bringing people together. That's kind of my thing. So when I read everyone's stories, I knew right away that I was going to put Meg's story last in the book. It was going to be in the back of the book because the end of her article was so powerful and amazing, and it wrapped up it wraps up the book. So I would actually, with Meg's permission, is this okay, Meg, if I read your story a little bit? I would like to read just the very end of your story, and I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna read a couple paragraphs. Okay, so we'll start here. So this is the very end of Meg's story, wrapping up the book entirely. I love it. It's beautiful. Kindness, compassion, and empathy, all on a healthy level, are my superpowers. One of my favorite quotes is from Philip James Bailey, is kindness is wisdom. That quote hung on my desk for years. I would never wish being bullied on anyone, but it was the catalyst for me to embody those characteristics. I never wanted anyone to experience the pain I had felt from my actions or the words I had spoken. Not only did I not want to cause harm, but I also wished to make everyone feel included, heard, seen, and understood. Don't we all? It took many years to balance this because it was easy to neglect myself while wholly embracing others. In hindsight, I realized that when I typed sober identity into the search bar, I was really looking for my true self. I have learned so much and have come full circle now. I have embraced the gifts of being an empath and learned to navigate the hard parts. Life is clearer and louder and far more beautiful than I can describe. If you are an empath, you may be wondering what you can do with it. Is it a good or a bad thing? Is this a blessing or a curse? The answer is yes. It can be all of those things. It's what we are willing to embrace and learn that will decide which way it goes. At times it can feel like all of those things at once, but in the end, it's just who we are. Love and protect yourself fiercely.
Thank you.
I love it. I love it.
You.
Yeah,
Thank
it was
you.
just, it's beautiful. Very well written. Your story was beautiful. I'm really excited to share this with everybody. I think, again, like I'd like to reach the addict audience, because so many, I think a lot of addicts are empaths and they just don't know. They
Right.
just don't know.
And it is pretty common in the community of people that are recovered in the recovery, but not necessarily to those coming into recovery. And that's exactly when I learned, about this, when I was coming into recovery. Those of us in recovery now, kind of, yeah, we're all empaths. Yeah, let's all just go watch this and cry, right? Like, it's a pretty common conversation, but it's coming into it. And I think if this story resonates with anybody, and I know there were some other stories in the book where others talked about their issues with addiction as well. I think that if it might resonate with someone, and someone might, again, it's just, you don't ever know who's going to read this and put two and two together and realize, like, maybe I'm really not weird, and maybe this is a thing, and maybe I can learn how to control this, and maybe I don't need the alcohol to numb this, or the drug, or the substance. And so, just
Control, that method of control
to make life seem simpler or more organized, because everything else. And I think even as a period of time when I learned I was an empath, then what I did is I controlled my environment instead of controlling how I felt. So I was very restrictive about how much time I would go out, where I would go, how long I would spend. There was a lot of, but then that made life very stringent, right? And regulated. And then as I moved through the process, I became more relaxed and I just learned how to take care of myself in the here and the now in the moment. So, and it's just kind of a process, right? You just, how do I handle this and maneuver it? And right.
Look at this book.
Yep. Another good book.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the healing journey is long and bumpy.
Right. And I think it's funny because a lot of people don't know what an empath is. And like I had said to you, some people are like, so what, you're a mind reader? Are you like an alien? It's like, no, I'm not an alien. And as I had said in my book, like initially it seemed woo-woo, but it's not woo-woo, it's a real thing. And so, and that's the important thing, I think, to get out there too, is you're not weird. It's not weird. It's just who you are. Better to be that than a narcissist, maybe, but yeah. So I just think that these stories are just touching people in such a way. And even if they themselves don't feel like they're an empath, they might be like, oh my gosh, like I think my son is, or oh my gosh, my husband is. There's been so many stories that are coming in that this has touched people and kind of give them a new perspective.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So is there one little nugget of information that you'd like to impart our audience with? One little piece of advice?
I think it sounds cliche, but if you're willing to be vulnerable and you find a safe space, you will find how much you are not alone, and the connections with people that you can create and the joy that creates can save you. I think we all feel on some level that there's something innately wrong with us, and that no one really feels like we do, and we're kind of walking this path by ourselves. But I think we're all walking around with some kind of insecurity, right? And so when you find that safe place and you finally say, share your story, and then people start saying, me too, I experience that too, you can find your tribe. And having like-minded people that understand you and can just coexist with you in a different level than those who can't is a treasure. So don't be afraid to find your people. Search and don't be afraid to be vulnerable and find your people. And because you truly aren't alone. There's a tribe out there for you. Whatever it is, your thing, there's a tribe for you.
Fantastic. Thanks, Meg.
Thank you. Thanks.
So Meg, tell everybody where we can find you.
You can find me at meglewiscoaching.com. You can find me at Meg Lewis Recovery Coach on Facebook, or Meg_Lewis_CPRC on Instagram.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
again, my name is Alicia McBride, and you can find me at healinglikempath.com. We were here today celebrating the empath effect. This is our empath effect. Yes. Tell me yours. Tell me your empath effect at #empath effect. Post it on social, tag us in it, please. #empath effect. So thanks for watching today. Thanks for being here with us. I hope you enjoyed our conversation. And if you have questions, please leave them in the comments. I love answering questions. I know that's weird, but I do. I love communicating and interacting and answering questions and teaching, and I love it all. So thanks for being here today. Please comment down below, and we will see you next time. Thanks.
Hi, thank you. Bye.
Bye.